Look at it as not something that's wrong with your body, but something that's wrong with the way your brain is sending signals. Your brain is literally sending these symptoms to your body, putting these limiters in place in order to stop you from doing all these things. Hey guys, how's it going? Miguel here with CFS Recovery. I got this cool sweater on, good vibes all the way. And there's a reason I wore it today, because today we're gonna be talking about dealing with symptoms. Now, I'm sure I've covered this topic in many other videos because that is the main hurdle people have when they're dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome and they're trying to recover and get better and just move to a better place with their health. Now, I'm not sure exactly which situation you're in right now, but symptoms will fluctuate throughout the days and weeks and months, and they can be really intense sometimes and drift away. When we feel symptoms, the automatic reaction, regardless of the symptom you're feeling, whether it's heart palpitations or, trembling or brain fog, dizziness, vertigo, having your heart rate increase when you stand up and having all these weird POTS symptoms and you feel like you're gonna pass out, and having it spike up when you do things as simple as taking a shower or rolling over in bed. When you feel symptoms, the automatic reaction is to start feeling anxious and start to worry, start to feel a lot of fear. And the main thing is you start to feel more and more hopeless the more the symptoms stay around and stick around. It almost gets to the point where every single symptom is like a trigger, and in your mind it's proof that you can't get better and that you're stuck and that no matter what you're doing, you're not actually seeing progress. And the thing with that is you have to understand that you're not a bad person to be thinking those things, and it's not your fault either. This is the natural way the body goes. Your brain is literally sending these symptoms to your body, putting these limiters in place in order to stop you from doing all these things. So of course, your mind starts to think, okay, if I do this thing, that's not good. If I do this thing, that's bad, because I'm getting this feedback from my body. And it's all about feedback. That's what symptoms are. It's feedback. It's your brain signaling you via symptoms not to do these certain things. And the reason it does that is it's essentially a limiter on your body, on your activity level, on the amount of stress you can handle. Like I said in a lot of other videos, you have something called a stress threshold. And the reason I'm bringing this up is the more you understand this, the less you're gonna fear the symptoms, which is a huge thing. Just fearing the symptoms will amplify the symptoms, if that makes sense. But you have the stress threshold, and once it reaches max capacity, your body goes into overdrive and the fight or flight response is triggered, and your body tries to lower all these stressors by limiting you from doing all these activities, because it thinks you're going to expose yourself to all these different things. It thinks you're going to put it in a position of being stressed again. So the only way to limit that is to have you stay put and literally stop you from doing everything. And how does it do that? It does it through, usually first it's through fatigue, and after it is the pain and all the weird symptoms, the feedback that your body gives you whenever you try to do things and move around. The thing to understand is it's not only just physical stress that triggers these things, but it's also the mental stress and the emotional stress. People don't put as much weight on that stuff as they should because they can't see the mental thoughts. They can't see the emotions. They can't tell that they're taking on more emotional and mental stress. And so back to my point about dealing with symptoms, my doctor told me specifically, he said, this is the key to recovery. He told me, your success in recovery is determined by how well you respond to the symptoms. Now, the old Miguel, before meeting my doctor, would freak out every time I had a symptom. Every single time I would have a heart palpitation or, a brain zap or have that burning sensations on my skin, I would just think to myself, oh no, here it goes. Here comes another wave of symptoms and here comes another crash. And I would just literally brace myself, almost waiting for this impending doom to come. So in a way, I almost had this self-fulfilling prophecy. So I didn't believe that I was getting better, and I was almost anticipating the symptoms to come in a bad way, and I would fear it. when you're in school and you have to do a public speaking assignment, or you have to do a talk in front of the class when you're young. You know, a lot of people, they get nervous. They're literally like counting down the days to their presentation. As it gets closer and closer to the date, they get more and more anxious and nervous until the time comes when they're walking up to the front of the class and your palms are sweaty, your heart rate's up, and you feel the anxiety kicking in. Well, once you start feeling some symptoms, automatically your brain's going to start to look for other symptoms. You're going to start to ask yourself, is this the one that takes me out? Is this the one that finally makes me crash hard once and for all? Is this the time that my body really won't be able to recover? You'll start to also ask yourself, how much more can my body handle? Because I'm experiencing so many symptoms, I feel like my body is literally just going to give out. I don't know how much more I can take. But the body is actually so much more resilient than people realize. It's so much more resilient, and you'll only realize that once you either talk to a bunch of people who have made this mind shift and recovered, or you've experienced it yourself. If you haven't already, then it's so hard to see that, but you start to gain more confidence in your body as you start to get better. So success is by determining how well you respond to the symptoms. Now, what not to do is start worrying and becoming hopeless and start fearing the symptoms. Instead, look at it from a different perspective. Look at it as not something that's wrong with your body, but something that's wrong with the way your brain is sending signals. Because that's all it is, the symptoms and the pain and all those things. Mainly pain, it's happening in your brain, especially if it's chronic pain. A lot of people, they'll get strange pains all over their body. Now, if it was real pain caused from a problem in the body, they would have found it. You know, this is assuming you've gone to lots of doctors, had x-rays, CT scans, or, done the test, and you've eliminated all these other illnesses or problems in the body. If nothing is showing up in the body, that means it's a problem with the brain. And your brain is essentially, like I said, sending these signals as a way to put limits on your body. So for me, the way that I started to really recover was changing the way I respond to symptoms and looking at them not as negative things, but as things just, they're just happening in my body. And there's literally nothing I can do about it but stay calm about it and understand that my body's not just going to give out. And I had to really gain that trust back with my body that it was going to be okay. But understanding why that was happening, once I understood that the brain was just sending signals to my body as a limiter to stop me from introducing all these other stressors, then I didn't fear it as much anymore because I found myself overcomplicating these symptoms. The fear and anxiety actually acts like a magnifying glass that amplifies the problems. So your heart skips a couple times, the more you start to panic about it and feel anxious and think you're having a heart attack, the more your heart rate's going to go up and the more palpitations you're going to have. Now, I want to make it very clear that this message is for people who have already crossed off the possibility of heart conditions and other illnesses and health issues. This video is specifically for people who have had all the tests done and they haven't found anything and they're here stuck wondering what's going on. Because if you do have a heart condition or other health illnesses, then this is a different story. Like there's real symptoms happening in the body. But for our conversation that we're having right now, if you're on this channel and you've heard everything else I've had to say and you've had all these other issues crossed off the list, then the only other reason these things would be happening is because of wrong signaling in your brain. And I always like to make this analogy in my one-on-one calls or even the coaching calls. Think of your body like a computer, right? Your body and your brain, think of them like a computer. If someone doesn't know much about the computer and the computer's not working or it's broken, they're gonna try fixing the mouse, the keyboard, the speakers, the monitor, the wiring, things like that. When in reality, what if there's a problem with the software inside the computer? That's something you would never be able to see on the surface. You can't look at a keyboard and look at a mouse and find that out. But once you start up the computer, if you have, say, like an IT person look at the computer and they see that there's problems within the software and they fix that, then everything else seems to be working fine. So it's so hard to pinpoint what's going wrong unless you've done it through a process of elimination. If the mouse is working fine, the keyboard is working fine, monitor is fine, the actual hardware of the computer is fine, then it must be a software problem. And the software problem, all it takes is a few different tweaks, a few corrections with the software, and then everything else seems to start working again. So that's another thing that lowered my anxiety whenever I had symptoms come up. So I hope that helps. I could go on a whole different tangent about this. I'll probably do it on a Facebook Live call. If you haven't already, definitely join our private Facebook group, our Community of Thrivers free group, but it's a place where people suffering from chronic fatigue can come together and pretty much help each other and support each other and really work together towards that ideal goal of thriving health. But let me know what you normally do to help with symptoms. Comment down below. I really want to know, some of the techniques you guys use. But I honestly think once you understand why everything's happening and how your body's working, then you no longer have to do coping techniques. You deal with the problem head on. But you have to understand what's going on first. And I have tons of videos on my channel that kind of break that down, that explain everything that's going on. I think the most important video I have that breaks down a lot of this stuff and why your nervous system is oversensitive and triggering all these symptoms, it's this video up here, which is the science behind my recovery. So I would highly recommend you watch that if you haven't already. That's probably the most important video on my channel. So check that out. If you like this video, hit that like button and smash that notification bell. That way you get notified every time I post a video. And remember, you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.